Welcome to my series of videos on essays. It's a part of the specification that a lot of students really dislike or they really worry about. And in actual fact, as I've said in my last video, hopefully you watched it, we talked about you need 4 areas of the specification. To do that includes two things from AS, 2 things from A2, try and include plans, and you've pretty much nailed 4 areas of the specification. We said every sentence needs to be loaded with A-level content. We don't want any irrelevance in there. We need to be talking about the importance of. How do we do that? We talk about what would happen without it. So there's a big difference between the role of and the importance of. Let's look at this essay. I'll give you time to read each paragraph and then we'll discuss the structure of it. This is the plan that the student did. Obviously, you've only got like 35 minutes in an exam to write your essay plan, so you're not going to go into too much detail, but it does make sense to jot down the areas that you're going to talk about in each paragraph. This student was a fast writer. This was her first paragraph. It's a lot. I don't expect this from most of my students. However, you can get 25 out of 25 without writing this much in a paragraph. Now, for ease of us to look at it, I've divided it on the next 2 slides into one half and another half. The first half, you'll see she basically describes, and in the second half, which is on the next slide, she talks about the importance of. Let's have a look. Okay, so have a quick read of this paragraph. What I want to make the point of, in the first sentence, she relates it to the reason why she's picked that topic. She tells us it's an essay on movement in cells and organisms, and she tells us that in the first sentence. In actual fact, that first sentence isn't particularly A-level. She could have increased the sophistication of that, but it's okay, it's done its job. It's linked the essay title to the paragraph she's written. She's then said, in light conditions where light is coming from one direction, the hormone IAA is secreted into the shoots. So straight away, we're into A-level. We don't talk about IAA at GCSE. This IAA stimulates cell division on the shaded part of the shoot and not the side where the sun is facing. She could have talked about mitosis there. This causes cell elongation on the shaded side, which moves the shoot towards the sun, showing positive phototropism. They also respond to gravity. It's not been particularly difficult or sophisticated in what she's done. She's just explained it. This is the second half of that first paragraph where she talks about the importance. Take a minute to read this. And again, the bit that really hones the whole thing in to the importance of is, if this didn't occur, what would happen? So we can see, she says, if this did not occur, then the chlorophyll in the chloroplast of the plant cells will not absorb enough light to excite electrons. A-level, A-level, A-level. In photosystem 1, this means that there'll be less electrons in the electron transport chain, so less energy is released to move protons across the thylakoid membrane, so less ATP is made via ATP synthase. The energy released from ATP is important in many processes in the plant, such as active transport and protein synthesis, and without that, those processes would not occur. So what she's done, in the first sentence, she said why she's talking about IAA and how it relates to the essay title. She's described it, and then the second half of the paragraph, she's talked about the importance of it. What would happen if you didn't have it? Let's look at some more examples. Her second paragraph is about movement in muscles. Let's have a look. So you'll see that we have the same things going on. In the first sentence, what's she done? She's linked the essay title to the very reason why she's writing this paragraph. She said movement also plays a big role in the process of muscle contraction. Again, it's not particularly A-level. It's a short sentence that does its job. This is why I'm writing about this. It links to the essay title. She's then spent her time describing what goes on, and then she's talked about the importance. How has she talked about the importance? She's talked about what would happen if movement didn't happen. So she has said, therefore, without the movement of calcium ions or of the sarcoplasmic reticulum, blah, blah, blah. She's gone on to talk about this wouldn't do this, so that wouldn't do that. She's talked about the importance on a molecular level, and then what she's done is she's zoned out and she's talked about the importance of process to the organism. It follows the same pattern. Sentence, this is how it links to the essay title, description, and then the importance. Without it, it wouldn't be able to do this, 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 and this. And then it's moved from a molecular level out to the importance to the organism as a whole. Paragraph number 3 follows the same pattern. The first sentence tells us how it's linked to the essay title. Another example in plants, in the phloem. Here she spent quite a long time explaining it, and we enter quite low in the paragraph before she starts talking about the importance. I tell my students to start talking about the importance about halfway through the paragraph. Without the efficient control of movement of water and sugars, a hydrostatic pressure gradient would not be created. The cells at the sink will then not receive essential sugars as there is no movement. These sugars such as glucose are used by the cells. There are a couple of typos in there because they've been typed up from student responses, but then again, it just shows you how important it is to make sure that your handwriting is clear and legible. In her final paragraph, she goes beyond the specification, and she's done the right thing. She's been explicit from outside the specification. It's not a particularly complicated mechanism that she's described. In fact, it's one that used to be in the old human biology specification. It's literally just the idea that chloride ions get pumped into your mucus and water follows, and it helps to keep your mucus flowing. And that's what happens with cystic fibrosis. They don't have that chloride ion pump. But she's done the right thing. Without the control of the movement of chloride ions by the CFTR protein, then the water potential of mucus, blah, blah, blah. She talked about the importance of that, because without that, we're going to get bacteria accumulating because we're not able to shift it. With that, we're going to get a shortness of breath. We're going to get a biofilm. It's going to be harder for gas exchange, and she's gone beyond the specification. So her essay followed all those essential elements. In the first sentence, she said why she was writing about that paragraph and how it linked to the essay title. She described in A-level detail, no GCSE. She then explained if we didn't have this, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen. Tune in to the next video where I'm going to show you some more great student responses.